I'm Alvina, a 34-year-old stay-at-home mom. My family consists of my husband, Morris, our 2 daughters who are in elementary school, and we live with my in-laws on the same property, so we are a household of 6. Before I got married, I worked night shifts, but Morris suggested that I quit my job if it meant we could spend more time together, so I decided to stay at home instead. I spent my time raising our kids, and later worked part-time when things were more manageable. I wasn't sure about living with my in-laws at first. I didn't know them well, and I thought it might be stressful for a daughter-in-law to live with her in-laws. So, I was relieved when Morris promised me before we got married that we wouldn't have to live with his parents. However, after we got married, Morris brought it up again. He said he was worried about his parents and suggested we live on the same property, but not in the same house. I was surprised and protested, but Morris asked, "Do you dislike my parents that much? If our situations were reversed, would you want to live with your parents?" I couldn't argue with that, since my parents were still healthy and living with my brother. Even though I wasn't sure about it, Morris told me that his parents had already started building a house on our property, and we couldn't say no, so we ended up living together. But I made one condition: we wouldn't interfere in each other's lives. This is how our shared living situation began. My in-laws agreed to this, and we lived separate lives. I would join them for meals once or twice a week. The house they built on our property was nice, and I even thought it might be a good thing for us, since we could inherit it one day. However, I made a big mistake in thinking everything would be fine. Over time, my mother-in-law started breaking our agreement. At first, she would visit me once or twice a week for help with small things like carrying something because her back hurt, or preparing dinner because she wasn't feeling well. But soon, she began to expect more. She would ask, "Is breakfast ready?" Or "Why hasn't our part of the house been cleaned?" As if I was responsible for all the housework. Eventually, I ended up cooking all 3 meals and cleaning both houses. Morris didn't say anything about it. Only my father-in-law would apologize sometimes and offer me a snack, saying, "I know it's not much, but please have this." My mother-in-law didn't just interfere with housework. She also started to have strong opinions about how we raised our children. She would say things like, "Your girls should be taking these lessons," or "Why don't your daughters help with housework? What did you have 2 girls for?" Every time she said these things, my father-in-law would defend me, reminding her that we had agreed not to interfere in each other's lives. She would apologize, saying she felt weak and unwell, but after a while, the complaints would start again. When I tried to talk to Morris about it, he would tell me, "We're family. You need to be flexible when things get tough. It's your fault for not handling it better." I felt frustrated every day. Then, one day, my mother-in-law collapsed at home. We called an ambulance, but she passed away suddenly from a seizure. I felt a mix of sadness and relief, as the constant stress from her interference was finally over. Even though she had broken the agreement, my father-in-law had always been kind to me. I tried to take care of him, and he often thanked me, saying he was sorry for not sticking to the agreement and that he couldn't handle housework on his own. My daughters loved their gentle grandfather, and we had some peaceful days together. But a few months later, father-in-law collapsed too. He survived, but became bedridden and needed constant care. When we discussed his care, he said he didn't want to be a burden and mentioned going to a nursing home. But Morris stepped in and said, "Families should care for each other. Nursing homes are for when it's absolutely necessary. Alvina said she's okay with taking care of you." This completely surprised me. I did love my father-in-law and wanted to help him, but caring for him full-time at home was a big challenge. I had young kids to take care of and, clearly, Morris wouldn't help. I didn't want to say I couldn't do it in front of him, so I agreed. Caring for him turned out to be very hard. I had to help him with meals, bathroom visits, and bathing. He was a strong elderly man, and it was awkward sometimes because we were of the opposite sex. Each day, I had to prepare breakfast, help the kids with school, do housework, care for the kids after school, and then prepare dinner, all while caring for father-in-law. Every night, I would feel overwhelmed. Every day, I somehow managed to get through it all, but by the end of the day, I was completely exhausted and would collapse into bed. Morris, instead of helping with his father's care, started spending even less time at home. He claimed he had work, often saying he was working overnight, and would only come home 2 or 3 times a week. Because I never knew when he'd come back, I struggled to prepare dinner on time. When I was too tired to cook anything elaborate, I would make something simple, but Morris would get angry. He'd complain, "I'm working so hard, and this is all I get?" When I asked for help with housework or caring for his father, he would respond, "You're a full-time homemaker. Caring for my father is your job. This went on for 3 years, and it made me feel miserable every day. Over time, my daughters grew older and started helping around the house and with their grandfather. Chantal helped with cooking and cleaning, and Janie would gently wipe her grandfather's back, asking him if it felt good. I was really grateful to have such kind daughters. One day, Morris left his phone at home when he went to work. Despite knowing better, I couldn't resist the temptation to look through it. His password was his birthday, so I could easily unlock it. What I found shocked me. It turned out that Morris had been having an affair since I started taking care of his father, and they even had a child together. The messages on his phone showed that he was financially supporting his mistress, although he had given me money for living expenses, and said he was saving for our children's future. He hadn't saved anything. The messages got worse, with him saying things like, "My kids are old enough now, so they're not cute anymore," and, "Taking care of the old man is a pain, but at least I've got my idle wife to do it." Putting him in a care facility would cost money, but having my wife do it is free. Gotta use free labor, right? I was furious and couldn't stay calm. Normally, I would have kept quiet and waited for more evidence, but I couldn't hold it in. As soon as Morris got out of the bath, I shoved his phone in his face and demanded, "What is this about?" At first, he seemed surprised, but quickly regained his composure. Then he said something that shocked me even more. "You've lost your femininity since we had our kids. You don't wear makeup anymore. Your clothes are all about comfort now, and you fall asleep with your mouth open." Morris's cruel words kept hurting me. He told me, "Ever since you started caring for my father, you've lost even more of your femininity. You're not even a middle-aged woman anymore, you're like a middle-aged man." His words were painful, but he didn't stop there. He went on to say, "My girlfriend always wears makeup and takes care of herself, even after having a child. I don't plan on divorcing you, but my love is for her and our child. Once my father is gone and the kids are adults, I plan to kick you out and live with her." He continued to say things that made me feel worthless. While he showed some concern for the kids, it was clear he didn't care about me at all. I couldn't hold back my tears. I tried to dress up and put on makeup, but it was hard. I was handling childcare and housework all on my own, and I had to do everything quickly, even if it meant my hair was messy. I asked him, "If you wanted me to look beautiful, why didn't you help with the housework or caring for the kids and your father?" But Morris was unkind in his reply. "Look at other women. They stay beautiful while raising their kids. You're just not efficient. As a stay-at-home mom, you have no right to argue with me. I'm the one putting food on the table. If you have a complaint, you can divorce me." He added coldly, "For a woman your age, job opportunities are limited. Do you really think you can raise our 2 kids on alimony and compensation from me?" I felt crushed and couldn't respond. I wanted to think about the children, and I couldn't bring myself to divorce him. But Morris said, "You can't, can you? If you care about the kids, you'll take care of my father until the end. After that, you'll work as my housekeeper. Don't worry, when the kids grow up, they'll help you, so you'd better treat them well." Then, he went to his room with a satisfied smirk on his face. I was stunned and didn't know what to do. Eventually, I regained my composure and went to take care of my father-in-law. I tried to act like everything was fine, but it must have been clear something was wrong. He asked me, "Is something wrong?" I tried to brush it off, but I couldn't hold back my tears and ended up telling him everything. After listening to me, father-in-law said, "Alvina, I have something for you. Can you come back in a few hours?" I did as he asked, and when I returned, he gave me a piece of paper with someone's contact information on it. He said, "Contact this person, they know everything. I should be the one to act, but with my condition." And he smiled. A few days later, Morris told me, "I'll be on a business trip for a week. I guess it's better for you too if we call it a business trip, right? I'll enjoy the sightseeing." I decided to take action while Morris was away on his week-long business trip. A week later, when he came home, he was furious and panicked. Everything was gone. I calmly asked him, "How was your week-long affair trip? Did you enjoy it?" Morris shouted, demanding to know what was going on. I explained to him that the contact my father-in-law had given me was for a man named Mr. Corey, an old friend of his who was a large landowner. Mr. Corey had always wanted the land where my in-laws' house stood and had been trying to buy it for a long time. My father-in-law had always refused, saying he planned to leave it to his son, Morris, but after seeing how Morris was acting, my father-in-law decided it was best to sell. Before Morris left, I had already spoken to Mr. Corey and we arranged to sell the house and land for a price much higher than the market rate. My father-in-law even asked Mr. Corey to demolish the house during the week Morris was gone. When Morris returned, all he found was an empty lot. We planned to build a new house using the money from the land sale. When Morris heard this, he tried to convince me to rely on him, saying, "You're jobless, right? Even if your father builds a house, you can't expect to live comfortably without my income." But I told him, "Don't worry about me. I got a job offer from a company run by an acquaintance." Then I turned the tables and asked, "Morris, shouldn't you be worrying about yourself instead?" When he asked what I meant, I explained that his job was only secure because his father was friends with the company president. But now that my father-in-law had cut ties with him, I told him, "The president said you could be fired because of your poor work and your affair." Morris tried to excuse himself, saying, "I didn't mean it. I was just angry. I wasn't really going to leave you. We're family. Let's work things out." But I firmly told him, "My family now is my daughters and my father-in-law. Goodbye." Then I hung up on him. Morris called several times after that, but I ignored him. Later, my divorce from Morris was finalized. I claimed compensation from both Morris and his mistress, as I had plenty of evidence of his affair. Through various sources, including the president of his company, I found out that Morris had been embezzling company funds to support his double life. Morris not only lost his job but was also being sued for damages. He tried to move in with his mistress, but she dumped him when she realized he had no money left. Now, Morris is struggling to find a new job while working multiple part-time jobs to pay off his debts and child support. As for me, I plan to live with my daughters and my father-in-law in a rented house until we can move into the new house my father-in-law is building for us. When my father-in-law offered to build the house, he said he wanted to move into a care facility, and that he wanted us to live happily there. I told him, "What are you talking about, Dad? We're family. It would make the girls sad. Let's live together." My daughters also took his hand and said, "We want to live with Grandpa." My father-in-law, with tears in his eyes, thanked us. Although it's tough to work and take care of him, my daughters help out. So, we are now living together as a family of 4 with the help of home assistance and day services. We're looking forward to moving into our new home as a family.